Hi, boys and girls. So today we're going to continue talking about animals and how they change as they grow. We're going to be listening to a story today called Ruby in Her Own Time. Before we read this story, you're going to listen to this song. It's called Story Elements Song, and it goes over the four main parts of a story. The characters, those are the people or the animals who are talking in the story. The setting, that's the place or when the story is taking place. And the problem, what goes wrong for the character. And the solution, how does the character solve his or her problem? Okay, so let's listen to the story. The main character in the story is Ruby. And Ruby is this little baby duckling. Then we also have Mother Duck and Father Duck. And Ruby has four brothers and sisters, Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca. All of their names start with R. Okay, let's listen to the story. Ruby in Her Own Time by Jonathan Emmett, illustrated by Rebecca Harry. Once upon a time, upon a nest, there lived two ducks, a mother duck and a father duck. That beginning reminds me of the fairy tales we read a few months ago when we were at school. There were there were 5 eggs in the nest. Mother duck sat upon the nest all day and all night, in wind and in rain. Then one bright morning the eggs began to hatch. Little beaks poked out into the sunlight. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll call them Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca, said Father Duck. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the fifth egg did nothing. Will it ever hatch? Asked Father Duck. It will, said Mother Duck, in its own time. So this is the last egg. They're still waiting for it to hatch. And it did. We'll call her Ruby, said Mother Duck, because she's small and precious. Boys and girls, Ruby is a name for a red stone. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca ate whatever they were given, but Ruby ate nothing. Will she ever eat? Asked Father Duck. She will, said Mother Duck, in her own time. And she did. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca swam everywhere, but Ruby swam nowhere. Will she ever swim? Asked Father Duck. She will, said Mother Duck, in her own time. And she did. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca grew bigger. And Ruby grew bigger too. And when Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca began to fly, Ruby flew too. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, and Rebecca flew far and wide. They flew up among the trees. But Ruby flew farther and wider. She flew up above the trees. She stretched out her beautiful wings. She flew high among the clouds. Mother Duck and Father Duck watched Ruby fly away. Will she ever come back? Asked Mother Duck. She will, said Father Duck, in her own time. And she did. And look, she comes back here. And what does she have here? A baby duck. Yeah. Now she's a mommy. And look, they look really happy to see her. Okay, so we're going to actually go to the next slide. I'm going to show you what you're going to do, and then you can stop the video and you're going to complete slides 15, 16, 17, 18 on your own, okay? So again, we're talking about the parts of a story. And here on this slide, we see characters. And it says here, write down the characters in the story. And right here where it says type your text, here, you'll click, you'll erase this text because you don't need that. But you'll write the characters in the story were mom, let's put mom and dad, and the brothers and sisters were, let's see, I know Ruby was the baby, and they all start with R. I can go back to the slide where we started the story just to remember. Let's see. Rufus, Rory, Rufus, Rory, Rufus, Rory. Go back. I know Rebecca was one of them, and Rosie and Rebecca. Oh, how could I forget that name? I have a friend named Rosie. Okay, so I'm going to write here Rosie and Rebecca. Oh, I can't put and yet. I almost forgot Ruby, Rebecca, and now I can put Ruby. Okay. All right. So the character. Oh, good thing I'm rereading. Look, I made a mistake. The characters in the story were. Let's put Mom Duck and Dad Duck. Rufus, Rory, Rosie, Rebecca, and Ruby. Okay, so those are the characters in the story. Now, when you're done with that, you go to the next slide. Setting. Write down the setting of the story. It says type your text here. Okay, so where did the story take place? Think about it. Okay, the story took place. Okay, think about it. The problem. Write down the problem of the story. Type your text here. What was the problem of the story? Remember, they were worried about Ruby. Why were they so worried about Ruby? And then the solution. Okay, how did they solve their problem? Think about how the problem was solved. All right, do a good job. If you have any questions, we can talk about it during one of our meets this week or send me a message. Okay, do a good job.